Hey guys, hey, I wanted to come on here and respond to a comment. So let me find it. Hold on, I'm gonna read it to you guys. This is a comment. I did another video. It's called Let's Plan Our Week Outcome-Based Planning. So if you haven't watched that video, watch that video first and then watch this video because it will make more sense that way. This is a comment that was left on that video that I'm gonna respond to. Hold on, let me pull it up. So let's see. It would be very helpful for me at least to hear you talking a little more in depth about the main different outcomes you set for your blog, like growing your email list, building traffic, generating more revenue, and so on, and the tasks that are directly related to each of those. Like for me, it's very easy to get them mixed up. Like I want to generate more income, so in order to do that, I have to grow my email list so that I have more people to offer my products, and to do that, I have to get more traffic and to get them to sign up to my list. And then it all kind of goes round and round, right? So she's in my outcome-based planning video, I was telling you guys, figure out what your outcome is and then plan what you're gonna do, right? And you're right, like all these parts are interrelated. They all go together, they're all important. But the way I look at it is I can't push on all of those things at one time. I can kind of maintain them and then push on one thing. So that's the way I do it. And the reason I think people get overwhelmed is they're trying to push on all of those things at once. All of those things, making a product, growing your email list, growing your traffic, their focus is too spread all over. So what I will do is I will take, 10 day, I'm really into doing 10-day chunks right now for whatever reason, but you could do 2 weeks, you could do a month, whatever. Take whatever time frame it is and say, I'm gonna focus on doing this one thing. I'm gonna grow this one area. I'm gonna only focus on growing my email list. And during that time, you're making opt-ins, you're doing whatever. You're only focusing on that. And you could argue like, yes, if you have more traffic, that will grow your email list, right? But I would tell you to take traffic separate. Like traffic is its own big project, right? This is about narrowing down. How can you narrow down your focus, right? So if I want to grow my email list, I could say, to grow my email list, I have to get traffic. I have to be on Pinterest. I have to do all these things, to build my traffic to grow my email list, right? Because they're related. But I'm not going to do that because I want to be laser focused and I'm only focusing on one thing, one outcome at a time. So while traffic influences that, I'm only focusing on email. So I'm going to focus on making new opt-ins. I'm going to focus on conversion rates. I'm going to focus on, trying a pop-up, trying different techniques of getting people to sign up for my email list, making new landing pages. And I'm going to put traffic to the side because traffic, as you guys know, is its own big project, right? And we're trying to narrow down our focus. So this is about being able to tease things out, right? And I can't answer this for you guys. You have to be able to figure out how this works for you, but this is what I would recommend. Like I would recommend you guys doubling down and pushing on one outcome at a time, right? Because if you're trying to grow your email list, you're trying to grow your traffic, you're trying to make products, you're trying to make content, it gets to be too much. And I have found, for me anyway, it works best if I just focus on doubling down on one area, right? So right now I'm building products, so I'm not focusing on traffic, right? And our outcome to some extent is always, to help more people and make more money and have a bigger impact, right? That's always the big outcome. But I can't focus on the big outcomes in my day-to-day. I gotta focus on smaller outcomes. You need to be able to tease out one area that you wanna grow, one specific thing, right? Work on building a new opt-in, right? Maybe that's your thing for the week. You're like, I'm not happy with my conversion rate. So I'm gonna tease out one specific outcome I can work on, which is, making a new opt-in or redoing your graphics for your opt-in or whatever, however you decide to do it, right? But the point that I was trying to make really is just that you can't be doing all these different things at one time. I don't think. It doesn't work for me anyway. Everyone works different. So, I'm not God, you guys. When I come on here, like take, my advice with a grain of salt. I just want to share with you guys the things that work for me and you can take what helps you and what doesn't. But for me, what I do is I figure out what outcome I want, right? If I'm traffic to me is its own outcome. And yeah, you could argue like traffic ties into everything, right? It makes you more money, makes you more email subscribers. And if you look at it that way, then you're always going to be focusing on traffic in addition to all these other things. And you're never going to have time to focus just on opt-ins, right? To focus just on products, right? So find a small outcome, start small. Pick something you can do this week. What is something you can do in the next 7 days that will help your business? What is something you can do? What is an outcome you can get? And I really try to be very specific in what I'm trying to do, because if I don't, I just end up running around and I don't really ever make any big steps, right? And that's what motivates me, because when I'm focusing on an outcome, I'm focusing on one specific outcome and I'm laser focused on one thing, right? I can see progress. I can take bigger steps. I can see things happening, right? Whereas if I'm running around all over the place, it's really hard to see the progress that you're making, and it's hard for me to stay motivated. I personally need to see progress. I need to see, that things are moving. And that's why I think this works so well for me, is I just narrow down on one thing. But it's not about things being connected or not being connected or picking the right things or all these things. It's like, you know your business. Sit down, ask yourself, what does your business need? What could you do this week, to help your business, and tease out one thing, or this month or this quarter, however you want to do it, right? But you got to be focused. That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. I'm like really encouraging you to focus on a project, right? And so if it helps you, instead of thinking of it as outcomes, think about it as projects. What is a project you can do, right? So, and growing your email list is a project, right? And what can you do for that? You can make new opt-ins. You can make new forms. You can try new pop-ups. You can make new graphics, right? That's your project. So if it's confusing for you guys to think about outcome, if that seems too like all over the place, think about it as a project. What's a project you can do? One project, right? And I only am pushing on one area really hard at a time. Like that's what's worked for me. You guys have to kind of figure out what works for you, right? And what works for me is not going to work for everyone. But I think there's something to be said for being focused, right? And not letting yourself get spread too thin and not letting yourself get overwhelmed. I'm just doing my one project. And when I'm doing that, as I'm building these products out, I'm not worried about traffic so much, right? I'm maintaining my traffic. I'm doing the things I know I need to do for my site, but I'm not pushing on that. I'm pushing on my product line, on growing my stuff and making new stuff for my people, right? That's what I'm pushing on right now. And I'm not pushing on the email list, right? I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on this little segment of my business. And so that's how I kind of do it. I just kind of go from like one little segment to the next little segment. And that quarterly planner is how I do it, right? So if you guys don't have my like free quarterly planner, it's in the group. If you can't find it, tag me and I'll get it to you. But it's literally like a spreadsheet that breaks everything down. And I need that. I need to know what I'm trying to do, right? You need to know like what are you trying to do in the next 3 months, right? What are you trying to do in the next year? Where do you want to be? Like, as a business owner, you kind of got to have those things in your mind. You have to have a vision, right? A big part, I feel like, of being a business owner, of making it online, is having a vision for where you're going, right? You got to be able to see where you want to be and then kind of fumble your way to get there, right? Because there's no clear path, right? There's so many different ways to get where you want to go. But you have to be able to hold the vision of what you want your business to look like someday. And then you have to be able to hold the vision of where you want to be at the end of 90 days, right? Where do you want to be in the next 90 days? If you don't know it's going to be hard. I don't know how you're going to plan your day to day if you don't know that. Like, honestly, I would feel totally lost and overwhelmed and stuck if I didn't have my plan. I literally sit down with that planner and I friggin' plan. I mean, I have it planned out like the rest of the year, what I'm doing every week on my business, right? Like literally, I know what I'm doing because I have to have that vision. Because if I just let myself sit down, I am, a very passionate oriented person, and I am scatterbrained and I am disorganized, and time will just be gone from me. I have to be focused. I have to make myself focus. Otherwise, I cannot get where I want to go. Does that make sense? So I hope this was like somewhat helpful for you. But that's what I would say. It's like, don't be afraid to be really focused. Don't be afraid to pick one thing. And yes, it all ties together. And then if it's confusing to think of it as outcomes, like picking an outcome, pick a project. Pick a project. What's a project you can do in this week, and really let yourself be focused on that. Let yourself be focused on one thing, right? Our brains like to try to trick us into thinking we need to be doing all the things all the time. I got to be on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, blogging, got to be doing the email list, the traffic, the products, whatever. Let yourself focus on one thing at a time, right? And that way you'll be able to make progress, real progress on that one thing. Push hard on it, right? Go hard on it, make some progress on it, and then go on to the next thing. And I think there's really something to be said for being focused, like in this kind of game we're in. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys have more questions, let me know. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say to you guys. I hope you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you guys soon.